Good morning, guys. I just wanted to create a screencast to let you know how to work with Canvas. Assuming that you can get into Canvas, this tutorial might be helpful to you. The first thing that you'll notice, and I'm on my Canvas page for your new teacher class. That's a course that I created, not one created by the district. So that's a lesson for a later date. But just looking up here at kind of your main options here in Canvas, the first place I usually head when I get into the main page is I'll go to courses. And this will list for me the courses that the school has created for me, as well as the ones that I have created for myself. So see here you can see Point Time, which is like our homeroom. These are the ones that Canvas gives me, but I can actually get access to all of my courses by going to View All. And this will give me a list of all the Canvas courses that I've ever had, including last semester's. So that's really nice if you need to get access to something you put on last semester. But what you can do to kind of customize what appears here under this drop-down menu is you can star different courses, and the courses that you have starred will appear in the drop-down menu, and that way you don't have to look at all of these choices, which can be a little bit overwhelming. So for today, again, I wanted to start off by looking at our new teacher course. Um, the first thing that I'll point out to you is you get to determine your home page. If you look over here, it says choose home page. I've chosen to make my modules, which essentially is a Canvas word for units, to be my home page. That way, when the kids log in, that's the first thing that they're going to see is all of the different units. And I've created units for an entire semester in my actual English 4 and those kinds of classes. So after you determine your home page, that is what the kids will see first. Um, when I am on my home page and when I am creating new modules, it's really easy. You click on the Add a Module button and it will add something. It'll give you a bold title here. So one of my modules is Helpful Links, Meeting Poll, a 9:30 session. This is our thing from last year. So if I want to add something, there's a couple of things you can do. So within this module, Helpful Links, if I want to add a new piece to that module, I click on the plus sign, and you have some different options here in the drop-down menu. You can add an assignment, which I'll talk about later. You can create a quiz. You can add a file, meaning just that file. So when the kids click on that new piece, it's going to take them to whatever file. A content page, which can be really helpful. Discussion, text header. Biggest one I use is the content page, files, or an external URL. So if I want them to go directly to a website, I use this, but a lot of times I'll do a content page instead, and then you just click Add the Item. Let me show you what I mean about the content pages. So here I created a content page, and you can tell by the link here, this is for a URL, this is for a content page. If I just added the URL, which I've done here, it wouldn't give you any instructions. So a lot of times if I want a URL plus some instructions, I'll type that here. So a lot of times I use content pages more than just URLs. So for example, if you want to request a substitute, there are a couple little caveats about you can either create an absence or create an assign. And so I've given that instruction here, and then there's the link. Okay, when I want to get back from this content page, I just can go back to home and continue with the search. If you decide to insert a file, which I think I did, copies from the district. So once again, this is a content page. I've got some instructions here, and then I inserted a file. Well, if I wanted to edit this page to show you how you edit a file, you can come here. So I've typed all my instructions, and then I can go to Files, and if I can upload a new file, which is just like adding something in Word. Okay, and you browse and you select. But once you have added that, you can also find it in course files. So this will give me a list of all the files that I have ever added to this course, and you can scroll through that. So that's kind of a nice little thing. Anything else, like links that you have kept, that kind of thing. Sometimes that's a little bit more difficult though because the links don't always save. But just wanted to make you aware of that. Next thing that I want to talk about is creating an assignment. Down here, because for you guys I don't really have assignments, that's why it's not highlighted. Once you post your first assignment, that will be highlighted. So if I wanted to post an assignment, that would go here and you would click the plus sign and it'll give you the option for type of assignment, to name the assignment, to give the due dates, and to tell how many points. You definitely want to put in points if it's worth, for me it's always worth 100 points. If you click save and publish, it'll automatically post, but a lot of times I want to go into more options. The more options is going to bring you to the full editing page. You can, change the name of the assignment here, add in your instructions. But the neater thing here is you can really adjust the options that you want to give students for what they're going to turn in. So I do a lot here with the submission type. If they're submitting an essay for me, I may make it so that will accept a website URL, which means they may be attaching a link to a Google Docs for me, media recordings if I have some multimedia presentation, and file uploads if it's going to be a standard Word presentation or PowerPoint. If it's a quick assignment, so maybe just a classwork assignment, an exit slip, that kind of thing, I may just allow them to do a text entry, which means that they're typing in Canvas. So I adjust that based on how much effort I want them to put into it and how perfect I want it to be. Because a lot of times the editing options are really limited when you're typing a text entry in Canvas. So that's, classwork stuff where I'm not going to count off for, spelling, as opposed to if it's an essay, of course I want something that has all of your options for editing, which would be a file upload or something from Google Docs. You can do group assignments. I haven't done a lot of work with that. The other thing is you can adjust your assignment due date. So not just the date, but you can actually change the times that you want it available from, or how many days you want it available from. And that becomes really good if you want to catch those people who are trying to slip in late assignments. And so that's really how I use that. And then when I click save and publish, it will then, oh, it's going to make me do this. So then when I click, and I need to do, so text entry, that's fine. And then save and publish, it will then give me an option to add a rubric, which is really nice so that the kids have everything, like they know exactly what you're scoring on. Notice here you can unpublish and publish here with this. If it's not green, then it's not published. So make sure that happens. That happens to me all the time. If you want a rubric, once you can create your own by clicking on the criterion, which will be here, and then you can find your outcomes or your curriculum standards here. These are for the district are published here, but a lot of times, I'm kind of making it my own thing that I'm looking for on that particular assignment. So if you add a criterion, you can add here. So maybe it's proofreading. You can change these numbers here, full marks. You can also add new. So instead of it just being worth 5 points or 0, I can add a mid-range or add as many of that as I want. And then once you have created this rubric, it will save, and you can use this rubric again. So a lot of times I'll use an old rubric and adapt it and then create it as a new rubric. So that's a great option there. Another thing that I use on Canvas a lot is announcements. Let's say since I teach on an A-Day, B-Day schedule for AP4, if I click on announcements, I may be told A-Day to do a particular assignment, or I added in an article for A-Day, but I forgot to tell B-Day. I can create a new announcement, and once you have the kids sign up, or not sign up, but once you have the kids select under their settings that they get emails or text messages when I do new announcements, this becomes really easy to make sure that you didn't miss something. There's also, I heard one teacher uses allow liking, and she requires students to like an assignment or an announcement anytime she posts, so that she knows how many students have actually seen the announcement. And that's part of their requirement. So that's something else that you can do. If you're creating quizzes, they do give you a lot of options. So let's say I was creating a quiz. Um, Under quizzes, name the quiz, uh, graded quiz, all of those options. You can choose that it's an assignment. You can choose some other stuff there, shuffle answers. You have a good bit of options, and again, how long you want the quiz available for. You can also make it so they have a require access code, so they can't get into the quiz except when they're in class when you give them the access code. That's really helpful if you want to make sure that people aren't giving answers to each other. You can have it be a graded quiz, ungraded. You have some options there. So that's the basics about it. But when you actually comes to the questions, you can add those questions and choose if you want it to be multiple choice, true, false, fill in the blank. You have all these options. A lot of times I do an essay question just because, in language arts, you never know what word choice people are going to use, and I don't want them to get it right or wrong based on the word they used. So a lot of times I'll do an essay question, and then you have your points here. So again, everything's worth 100 points for me. I might have 4 questions, 25 points, but you have to change these points or it'll the kids get really antsy about how much it's actually worth. And then if you do a multiple choice, you can select what is the correct answer. You can also give some options for possible answers, but again, you never know what words they'll actually choose to use. Always make sure you click the update question, or else the computer does not know what you've chosen as your answer. So that's quizzes. The big way that we use Canvas is for grades. So if you want access to your grades, you go here. There is some stuff you need to set up for grades. That will probably be another tutorial. But this is where you can keep track of all your different assignments. You can select to show different sections. So if you teach the same course but different sections of it, you can choose to see all of your students, or you can choose to see different sections by clicking on that. You can also do a little movement. So if I want my total, I can move it over here so that I can see what the average is, and that becomes really helpful when you are putting in grades. Which again, that's probably another tutorial. So that's some basics about grades. And again, anything, in order to see these, it has to be posted as an assignment. And it'll post the different types of assignments that you have here and give you your average. If you have any questions, there's also one last thing, there's also a calendar where you can put in when things are due. You can manually create those, or once you create an assignment, it will show up in the calendar. This is also a place where the school, if you need to set up appointments with your assistant principal to meet about your SLO, you'll be able to choose your meeting time here on the calendar. If you guys have any questions, I know this was a long video, but pause it at your will. Let me know if you have any questions, and thanks so much.